right, so basically what happened was I got fat when I went on holiday in Europe. I was eating a ton of food, plus a lot of very high carbohydrate foods, and I just gained a ton of weight. And I needed to lose weight rapidly for my wedding. So over the next 4 weeks, when I came back, this happened, all right? And this is a time-lapse video day by day, and I lost a ton of weight in just 4 weeks, okay? So I lost basically just over 9 kgs, and that's over 20 pounds of body weight. Out of that, 3 kgs of it is water, so I only lost about around 7 pounds of water. So the rest of it, around 6 kgs, just over 13 pounds, was body fat. And I'm gonna explain to you in this video how I lost so much body fat in just 4 weeks. And do me a favor, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you find the video useful, because this is actually the first of 2 parts. In the second video, I'm going to explain how I lost so much weight because I optimize my hormones to get them into a very, very healthy state so that I can rapidly burn body fat, okay? So something interesting happened recently with this guy, Eddie Hall, and he is the world's strongest man in 2016, and he wanted to lose some weight and get healthier, so he ate what was called a carnivore diet, and he ate 10,000 calories of meat and eggs a day. That's 4 times what the average man eats, okay? Now, obviously, Eddie Hall is a big guy, and he exercises a lot, so he's gonna use up more calories. But even according to him, he was running a calorie surplus, and yet he lost a ton of weight in just 30 days. And how is that possible, okay? Like, pretty much everyone knows that if you eat more calories than you use, then you're gonna gain weight, okay? And people who know the science behind it all, they often quote what is called the second law of thermodynamics. Basically, no energy is ever created or lost. So if you eat more calories, more energy than you use up, then you're gonna store it in your body as body fat, okay? But that is to assume, okay, how we see calories and how it's measured is 100% efficient, and that the human body is 100% efficient in storing all the food that we actually eat. So let me explain. Calories are actually measured in a device called a bomb calorimeter, okay? So they put the food inside and they burn it under, inside water, and then they measure the temperature change of the water to see how much energy has been transferred into the water, all right? And that shows them how many calories is stored in that food, okay? But the thing is, the human body is actually not like that. The human body, this is what energy metabolism in the human body looks like. It is a very, very complex system, almost looks like a computer wiring. It has thousands of enzymes involved and many, many metabolic processes. And there's amino acid metabolism, there is carbohydrate metabolism, and there is fat metabolism, okay? And the system is not 100% efficient, okay? So if you had a car and I asked you, how can you get the car to go further? Then obviously you'll say, just add more gasoline. The more gasoline or petrol for those in the UK, the more petrol and gasoline you have in the engine, then the further the car will go. But what happens if you had this car? It is a shitty car. It has a crap engine, okay? Now, the engine is going to run with a lot higher friction because it's a bad engine, and there will be a lot of energy lost via heat and via sound, and a lot of the fuel won't even be burnt, because if you have a black sooty exhaust, that's basically showing a lot of the fuel is not being burnt efficiently, okay? So energy is being lost in other forms of energy, not just kinetic energy for the car to move, go from one place to another, but it lost via heat and lost via fuel that is not being burnt efficiently. And that is what happens when you go on a very, very low carbohydrate diet, which is what Eddie Hall's diet is, a carnivore diet. So basically meat and eggs are high in proteins and fats, but almost no carbohydrates, okay? And it's pretty much the same diet that I'm running, although I am not doing a strict carnivore diet. I am doing a very high red meat and eggs-based ketogenic diet. But like 85 to 90% of what I eat is red meat and eggs, okay? Oh, meat and eggs, okay? But out of the meats, 70% of that is beef and lamb. And it drives fat loss very quickly because it shifts your body into fat metabolism, okay? And it works like this. When you don't eat any carbohydrates, your body shifts into what is called ketosis. So it starts metabolizing fat into what are called ketone bodies, okay? And ketones is another fuel source other than glucose, okay? So your body can use ketones as fuel. But on top of that, okay, your brain actually needs glucose, okay? It can use up to 70% ketones, but 30% of it has to be glucose. So your body will start burning its own body fat, even if you run a caloric surplus via a metabolic process called gluconeogenesis. And what that does is it metabolizes your own tissue, okay, either fat or muscle, but generally body fat, if you're doing it the right way, and then it produces glucose so that it can fuel the muscles, but primarily the brain, because the brain needs that 30% glucose. And the brain actually uses a lot of energy. So for the average person who's not exercising but sitting in the office, it uses about 20% of your entire energy needs just to fuel the brain, because the brain is, very high energy organ. Okay, so you will burn body fat even if you're eating a lot of food. And I wasn't hungry pretty much the entire 4 weeks. I was also doing something called intermittent fasting. So I would eat after 14 hours of not eating on training days, and on rest days, I was doing about 16 hours of not eating to try and get as much ketosis as possible, and also forcing my body to switch to gluconeogenesis to provide fuel for the brain. And the thing, though, for all those people who follow the second law of thermodynamics is that your body isn't 100% efficient in using metabolites, okay? So the body actually doesn't burn all of the ketones which are produced for fuel. What happens? You piss it out, all right? Now, in the old days, they used to test for diabetics by testing their urine, okay? Because diabetics become insulin resistant, so they can their body no longer reacts to the insulin correctly, and they cannot, the insulin struggles to help the body store the glucose in the blood as it enters the system. So when they eat a lot of carbohydrates, okay, they get a really, really high amount of glucose in their blood. And it's very toxic, so they really need to get it out of the body. So not only do they the body try to get the glucose out of the blood into the fat cells, the diabetics will actually piss out the glucose, a lot of it, and they can test it in the urine, okay? Now blood testing is more accurate, so they've shifted to blood testing. But if the diabetic is pissing out some of the glucose, then they're not actually burning the fuel in their body. And the exact same thing happens to ketones, all right? So when a person is either fasting or they are eating a very, very low carbohydrate diet, then their body is making a large amount of ketones, and the body is not able to use all of it, so it pisses it out. In fact, the way to test for ketones is literally to buy ketone strips, okay, these are ketone strips, and then to piss on them. And then the color that the ketone strip goes into will indicate the amount of ketones that's in the urine, okay? And ketones will be a chemical store of energy, and if it leaves the body, then that's the energy that the body has lost, and that explains why a person can actually be eating more calories and yet be still losing body weight. And there's a lot of studies based on low calorie diets versus, low carbohydrate diets versus low fat diets, yet the low carbohydrate diets, the studies don't seem to indicate this type of action going on, because a lot of the low carb diet studies are actually funded by big food companies and pharmaceutical companies, and it is not in their interest to prove that to prove the calorie in and calorie out model is actually wrong, because it allows the processed food company to say a can of Coke and 2 eggs has the same amount of calories, and literally they do. Okay, so then a company like Coca-Cola can say, okay, our can of Coke has the same number of calories as 2 eggs, and as long as you eat fewer calories, you can still lose weight drinking our product. But anyone with common sense should know that eating 2 eggs or eating 6 eggs will have a very, very different outcome to drinking 3 cans of Coke in a day, okay? So basically, the processed food companies try to shift the narrative and the knowledge that the general public knows by doing studies in a way which reflects the fact that as long as you eat fewer calories, then you will lose weight, which is only half true, because it is just like the car engine, where if you put more gasoline, you're going to go further, but you still need an efficient car engine, and some of the energy is lost, okay, because it is not burnt efficiently, while in the human body is being pissed out as ketones on an ultra low carbohydrate diet. So if you want to lose body fat super quick, then the way to do it is to cut out all carbohydrates. And that means, you know, bread, rice, pasta, noodles, no fruit even, all right? I was eating a little bit of amount of fruit, like half an orange a day, okay? But I was exercising a lot, so my body can handle it. And you cannot cheat, because it is very, very difficult to get near 0 carbohydrates anyway. So as soon as you cheat and you go over a certain amount of carbohydrates, then you are no longer going into ketosis. You're just doing a balanced diet, and your body is no longer running on fat metabolism and producing ketones, which is what these low carbohydrate studies are actually doing. They're running the studies deliberately with too much carbohydrates in the diet. Okay, they're just doing relatively low carbohydrates, but not below 20 grams a day. All right. So in conclusion, I'm just a recap. Okay, if you're eating a super low calorie diet, the reason why you are able to burn body fat super quickly is because, number one, your body goes into ketosis. Number two, your body burns your own body fat to produce glucose for the brain, because there's no longer glucose supplied via your diet from carbohydrates. And then the third reason is because you're literally pissing out some of the ketones produced in the urine, okay? And that's where energy is lost, okay? So if you want to lose weight super quickly, just cut out all the carbs, all right? And again, please like the video if you like it, and subscribe to the channel. And in a week's time, after my wedding, I'm going to post a video up about how you can get your hormones into an optimal state so that you can burn body fat way, way quicker.